Welcome to Miranda Makes. Boo boo ba doo boo boo boo. Hi there Total Babes, today on Miranda Makes we're making golden turmeric chai. This is a recipe that I've kind of developed using a few other people's recipes that I've been making for the last couple of years. It's based on a regular chai recipe, so it's not going to be too much different to that, but the main difference is the turmeric and the way that we make sure that we absorb the turmeric. The reason why I like having turmeric in this way is because it's a really potent way to get the anti-inflammatory action of turmeric. Turmeric has a phytochemical in it called curcumin, and curcumin is very anti-inflammatory. Not only is curcumin very helpful for acute things like a headache, maybe you've got some cramps, you've got some sort of injury that is quite inflamed, but also it can reduce systemic inflammation that comes from chronic diseases. The reason inflammation is a concern in the long term is that it's associated with things like cardiovascular disease, depression, cancer, and a whole bunch of other disease states. So we want to make sure that our body's not in a state of inflammation. There's a couple of things about this recipe that I've put in especially for the turmeric. Turmeric needs to be absorbed, or the curcumin in the turmeric, needs to be absorbed with a fat. So what I'm doing is not only is there a little bit of fat in the almond milk that I'm using, you may want to use regular milk. I'm adding butter, but you can add some coconut oil. I just had butter on hand and I like butter. Butter's awesome. So these are the spices that are going to go into our golden turmeric chai. So we'll start off with our turmeric. This is what turmeric looks like in its natural form. So it's very similar looking to ginger. And the way that we're going to use this is we're going to simply grate it. I'm probably going to grate this entire guy here. But if you can't get your hands on the fresh turmeric, you can use the powdered turmeric. The disadvantage with this is that when you strain it, some of the powder will still come through. It sinks to the bottom, so just the end of your chai will be a bit grainy, so you probably wouldn't drink that part anyway. But that is an option if you can't get your hands on the gorgeous fresh stuff. Other spices we're going to add, we've got clove, these little guys here, so I'll put a few of those in. Star anise, just put one of those in. We've got ginger, we're going to grate that as well with the turmeric. Next we've got the vanilla pod. I'm going to take this guy and slit him along the side, scrape out all the seeds with my knife, and I'm going to put the seeds and the pod in there to give it a nice vanilla flavour. Vanilla isn't always in chai, but I personally like it. I think it just tastes really nice. Then I've got half of a cinnamon stick. I'm only using half because I think that it would be a waste of a whole one to only make 2 cups of chai. The last spice I'm going to add is black peppercorns. Not only is it traditional to add black peppercorns to chai, but black peppercorns have a natural phytochemical in them called piperine, and piperine actually helps the turmeric to absorb. This means that we're just going to make sure that we're getting enough of the turmeric in, and it just almost going to super boost it so that we're definitely absorbing it and getting the most out of its anti-inflammatory action. So now that you know all the ingredients, we're just going to go ahead and make it. The way we start this off is you get 1 cup of your chosen milk. Now you can choose coconut milk, you can choose regular milk if you can tolerate that. Personally, I can't tolerate it, plus I'm a fan of almond milk. I find coconut milk a little bit too sweet sometimes. But basically get a cup of that, pour it into your pot, and then you're going to get a cup of water and do the same. We're going to pop that onto a high heat and bring that to the boil. While that's boiling, we're going to scrape our ingredients into the pot. So this is my grated turmeric and my grated ginger. I used one of these. It's a nice fine grate. I left the skin on. I wasn't too fancy about it. When it came to the ends, I just tucked the end bits on there. because the reality is we're going to strain it, so it doesn't really matter if there's any bits in there. Oh, and something to keep in mind is that the turmeric does stain. So I actually find that fresh turmeric isn't so bad, but the powdered stuff really does stain, and I've had days when I've gone to work with bright yellow fingernails and I look like I'm sick or something, but I'm just a bit addicted to turmeric. So I've just popped in, sorry I forgot to say, I've just popped in the vanilla bean with the seeds scraped and put in there as well, and then I've got the cinnamon stick. I'm going to put in 3 cloves and 1 star anise, the butter or the coconut oil, whichever you prefer. And for those of you who like to measure, I've got a 1/4 teaspoon of the peppercorns. So I'm going to let that come to almost a boil. I don't want it to boil because the milk can split, especially dairy milks. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to whisk it around. When it comes to a boil, I'm going to turn it straight down and simmer it for 10 minutes. And while it's simmering, I'm going to whisk it. And of course, I almost forgot the black tea. God. I'm just using Melbourne Breakfast. It's a vanilla Earl Grey. It was the only black tea that I had on hand. You can use a Darjeeling, you can use an English breakfast, any black tea. Sometimes some people like to just empty out a tea bag. But personally, I like loose leaf tea. It's much prettier for starters, it's better quality. It's just a lot nicer. But anyway, so I've got a couple of teaspoons of tea that I'm going to add. If that's too strong for you, feel free to only put 1 teaspoon, but I like to have the 2 in there. Okay, so I've had this simmering for nearly 10 minutes and I've forgotten to add my honey. So I put 2 teaspoons in, but you can put less if you like. You can also use rice malt syrup. So I decided to add honey to mine. I know that there is a lot of information about fructose at the moment, but I don't have honey very often. I bought this, God, over 2 months ago, and I still have heaps left. I live with heaps of people and they use it from time to time because it's a share house and that's what we do. We still have heaps of honey left. So it's not as if it's something that I use a lot. I have tried this with rice malt syrup and it was disgusting. I'm just going to put that out there. You can try it, you're more than welcome to try it if that's what you would prefer. But personally, honey was the thing that I found worked the most. But anyway, this is ready. So what I'm going to do is I'll turn the stove off, put my little whisk over here. And I have my teapot ready to go. You can put this straight in a cup if you like, but I like serving it out of a teapot because I'm fancy like that. I have a particular tea strainer. I actually fetched this from my mom's house, but you can just use a sifter. Now that that's all done, it's ready to serve. So you may like to double strain, which is a really good reason to use the teapot. Which I like to do, and you may find that the drink itself is too hot, which I always do because I'm a little sook. So I like to add a little bit of extra milk, which I have on the side. But I just serve this and add my extra milk. And now it's ready to drink. I will tell you this much, it is so much better flavour with the fresh turmeric than with the powdered. That is another benefit of it. I just haven't been able to get fresh turmeric for a while, to be honest. It still will taste good with the powdered turmeric, but I definitely recommend if you can get the fresh, get the fresh. And like I said earlier, it can be something that you can use to relieve inflammation. I have found relief within half an hour of drinking it for certain conditions. So if you want to use it that way, it is a really nice natural way to reduce inflammation without having to rely on pharmaceutical drugs all the time, because it is nice to give our bodies a break from that instead of always reaching for them every single time we have any sort of pain. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Please hit subscribe and you can get more of them as they come along, as well as hitting like, because that just makes me know that you enjoyed it. If you try the recipe, please share it with me. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all Miranda's Wellness, although the Twitter one you may have to see the spelling. You can also come in and see me for nutritional medicine appointments if you're based in Brisbane. But most of all, thanks for watching. See you next time. Okay. Boo 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 boo. You know, one of those metal ones that have the fine